This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Welcome back to Boomer Life here on CIL 650. I'm Sterling Fox, joined in studio by Stephen Benolio from Canadian Estate Diamonds and Canadian Noble House Diamonds. Our producer is Dwayne Bishop, and that was Seals and Crofts. And Diamond Girl, keeping things kind of musically buoyant here, Stephen, throughout the hour. We're talking about some of the mistakes that we consumers regrettably make. And, you know, when you're talking diamonds, you know, these are pretty pricey items, or certainly can be, so you don't want to make many mistakes at these dollar rates, do you?
No, you're absolutely right.
Now, we talked a little bit about such a thing as a bargain diamond, and to flesh that out just a little bit, assuming a mistake, a common mistake, too, television and advertising having more than a little influence on this mistake, assuming a diamond can be bought cheaper, and here are the options. When the jewelry show comes to town, they'll be at the Best Western at Harrison Hot Springs. You know that stuff.
Right.
That's the art sale this week, the jewelry sale next week, the quilt sale the week after. Those traveling things, not going to get you much deals. When the diamond goes on sale, do diamonds go on sale, Stephen?
Well, their cost is intransigent.
Right.
So the jeweler might be diminishing their margin.
Oh, so they're cutting their profit a little bit.
That may be.
Okay. Here's a really popular one. We touched on this before. I can get diamonds cheaper in another country. I can go to Hong Kong. Oh, the deals in Hong Kong, man, it just blow you away.
Well, I think you have to think about when you're traveling, or you're on a cruise ship, or you're touching down in a European country where diamonds were once cut. You have to think as well that you'd probably have left your recourse behind when you leave that place. Mm-hmm. And they know that, and can sometimes in some places take advantage of it.
Right.
Because I've had lots of people who went to the Caribbean and come back with what they thought was a great piece of jewelry, only to find that they didn't get what they paid for.
Right.
So again, it comes down to...
And are you going to fly all the way back to St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands to complain about a $100 ripoff?
Not likely.
Or whatever.
And they know that.
Right, yeah. So we're not going to see that guy again.
Right, but if it's a jeweler in town and you can go back and give them your peace of mind or ask for your money back, well, that's certainly an advantage.
Absolutely. And finally, on this mistake about assuming a diamond can be bought cheaper, and this is a biggie, Stephen, because more and more of us are leaning in this direction. Assuming a diamond can be bought cheaper from a company selling diamonds on the internet. Well, there's no middleman. There's no bricks and mortars. Of course it's going to be cheaper.
Right. And I would say as long as you can get your money back and you take that diamond for an examination once you got it home to somebody who really doesn't have an interest in the sale, you might do better. But you can often think of the diamonds sitting on these internet websites are the stock of an overseas manufacturer. And the great part of their production leaves the day it's made. If you try, for instance, to buy an 88-point diamond in Vancouver, you won't likely find one, because every diamond cut to that weight goes to China immediately.
Oh, really?
Those are good numbers. They're lucky numbers. So,
of course.
Right. You will find a huge selection online. You will hopefully find diamonds that have GIA certificates, and often you can find a good price. But there are subtleties, as I mentioned earlier, in a grade that would make a gemologist choose one over another. And you don't have that benefit when you're buying it online. I think that the maxim of know and trust your jeweler remains.
Right.
You're going to, as well, you're going to end up with a finished piece of jewelry that somebody's going to service through the years. So it has driven down prices. It has helped the consumer in that light. But at the same time, you really need to know what you're getting with a second opinion.
Right. Now, let's talk certificates, because the few of the other mistakes that we have left on this short list basically relate to the paper involved with the diamond. Now, You've referred to a GIA certificate. That phrase you've used now at least a half a dozen times in our conversation. So what does GIA stand for, and what is the certificate all about?
Okay, it's the Gemological Institute of America. It's a non-profit corporation with offices in both California and New York, and they develop the way diamonds are graded, the scale, the colors from D to the end of the alphabet, clarity, and recently a cut grade. And they're the one Well, there's two. The American Gem Society and the Gemological Institute of America are the ones that are renowned around the world.
Okay.
Most people should never touch on either a very high-end diamond or a colored diamond without having a GIA certificate. There's a very good likelihood you're not getting what you're paid for. So those are the two that are non-profit labs. They're the two most respected in the world, and they're the only two I would buy a diamond from as certified.
Okay. And there are other companies that also issue some kind of certification, but these are companies that profit from such certificates being issued and could be easily found to be in some kind of conflict of interest, therefore.
That's correct. They're for-profit labs, and they are being paid by the trade as opposed to the consumer, and they have it in their interest, the trade. So what they tend to do is overgrade. They use the same grading scale as the GIA or the American Gem Society, but they don't grade it the same way. So that's to the advantage of the jeweler against the consumer.
Okay, on the basis of these certificates, whether it's an AGS or GIA, these are the two that you say we should really need to pay attention to. If we're buying a diamond, Stephen, what value diamond should we say, what's the cutoff? I'm not going to buy this until I see either the AGS or GIA certificate because it costs more than. What should that than be? Should if I'm going to spend what, $5,000, $10,000, $1,000? What's my cutoff point for being comfortable not having a certificate?
It's a good question, and the GIA today is actually backed up 3 months in certification because people are certifying smaller diamonds than in the past.
Okay.
20 years
so they're being
ago,
careful.
That's right. And 20 years ago, it was a 1 carat. Every 1 carat had some kind of certification. Today, it's probably a half carat. And so at a retail, we'd look between $2,000 and $4,000. I would say if you're spending over $2,500, you should get a certificate. You should ask for one. If it doesn't have one, you should shop somewhere else.
Dwayne tells me I have only time for one more mistake that we consumers make, and that is we assume that all diamonds are well cut. And as you pointed out perhaps 2 or 3 times already in this conversation today, that is simply not the case.
That's right. There's a gemological term called swindling, and diamonds in the past were largely swindled because the amount you recover from the rough weight is your profit. So if an undiscerning consumer doesn't address the cut, they're paying for diamond that's not adding to the beauty at all.
Interesting. So that word, which in vernacular, English vernacular, has come to mean, ripping people off.
Right. It's very apt.
It's a swindle. It means it's a rip-off. It's a jewelry term that actually means they're ripping you off.
That's correct.
They're giving you fatter than they need to diamonds, so they can up the weight, plump up the weight, literally.
Right, because price goes exponentially with size in diamonds.
Okay. So the mistake is that we assume that because it's a diamond and it looks pretty nice, well, then they're all the same. They're all well cut.
That's right. And the future will be brands and diamonds. If you think of purchasing a car, well, certain brand names are going to give you quality.
True.
Well, that will be the future in how diamonds are cut. There will be a company standing behind them with a guarantee that gives you peace of mind that you've gotten what you paid for.
And if my guest, Stephen Benolio, has his way about it, that company will be Canadian Noble House Diamonds, standing behind every diamond they cut and guaranteeing its quality and its unique characteristics.
That's right, Sterling. Thank you.
Stephen Benolio from Canadian Noble House Diamonds, or the website noblehousedIamonds.com, or Canadian Estate Diamonds, and that web address, Stephen, is CanadianEstateDiamonds.com.
Yes.
Okay, so there's Noble House Diamonds or Canadian Estate Diamonds, both.com, and both downtown at Georgia and Granville. Call them up and have a visit. Stephen, thank you. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Sterling. You're the best.
See you next time on Boomer Life.